Chapter 1, Zoey the Science Whiz. Zoey loved science more than anything in the whole world, more than chocolate chip cookies, more than jumping in puddles, even more than Saturday morning cartoons. Her bedroom wasn't just a bedroom, it was a science lab. There were wires and tubes, blinking lights, and half-finished machines. She had a shelf filled with bottles of mysterious bubbling liquids. Okay, they were just juice, but they looked scientific. Right now, Zoey was wearing her favorite white lab coat. Well, it was actually her dad's old shirt, but she had scribbled Dr. Zoey on the front with a marker. She pushed her safety goggles up onto her head and tapped her pencil against her chin. She said, staring at the big, messy piece of paper in front of her. It was covered in scribbles, arrows, and drawings of strange machines. I need a new experiment. She looked around her room for inspiration. Her lava lamp? No, she already tried to turn that into a real volcano. Mom did not like that one. Her toaster? Nope. Last time she used that, her toast exploded into 100 tiny crumbs. Then her eyes landed on her favorite stuffed animal, Bonkey. Bonkey was the cutest stuffed animal ever. He had a fuzzy bear face, big round ears, and a tiny monkey body with a long curly tail. She hugged him every night, talked to him about her day, and even made him a tiny scientist badge. If only you were real, Zoey sighed, booping Bonkey's soft nose. Then we could do science together. And that's when it hit her. Her eyes widened. Her brain buzzed with excitement. I'll make Bonkey real! She grabbed her notebook and started scribbling like crazy. Wires, buttons, lights. Oh, she needed a giant lever too. Every great experiment needed a big, dramatic lever. Just as she was finishing her sketch, her bedroom door swung open. Zoey, Dad said with a tired sigh, why does your lamp have 3 batteries taped to it? Zoey grinned. Oh, don't worry, Dad, that's just an old experiment. Dad gave her the look, the one that meant please don't blow up the house today. No explosion, Zoey, Mom added from the hallway. I promise, Zoey said, crossing her heart. Her parents exchanged a knowing glance. Then they both shrugged. Zoey was always doing wacky experiments, but she was learning, and that was important. All right, Mom said, just keep it safe. Zoey beamed. Always. As soon as they left, she clapped her hands together. Okay, Bonkey, she whispered, eyes twinkling. Time to make you real. She reached for her toolbox and got to work. Chapter 2. The Big Experiment. Zoey worked all afternoon. Her bedroom floor was covered in tools, wires, and crumpled pieces of paper with ideas that almost made sense. She twisted knobs, taped things together, and even glued a banana peel to the side of her invention. She wasn't sure why, but it felt important. Okay, Bonkey, she said, wiping sweat from her forehead. It's ready. Right in front of her stood the Bonkey Bringer 3000, a tall, clunky machine made of blinking lights, tangled wires, and a big metal lever twice the size of Zoey's arm. Bonkey sat on a tiny cushion inside the machine, looking as fuzzy and adorable as ever. Don't worry, Bonkey, Zoey whispered. This will be totally safe. Probably. Maybe. She wiggled the lever. It felt sturdy. She checked the wires. They were mostly connected. She pressed the big red button. Beep, boop, zap! The machine whirred to life. Lights blinked, gears turned, and a small puff of purple smoke floated up. Zoey's hair stood on end from all the static electricity. Bonkey didn't move. Zoey frowned. Maybe it needs more power? She grabbed the lever and pulled it as hard as she could. Ka-thunk! The whole machine shook. Sparks fizzled, the banana peel fell off, and then zap! A burst of bright blue light filled the room. Zoey had to squint. She could barely see anything. Then, silence. The light faded. The machine stopped whirring. Zoey held her breath. She leaned in close to Bonkey. His fuzzy little body was still. His tiny monkey tail didn't move. She poked him. Nothing. She poked him again. Still nothing. Zoey sighed. Oh well, Bonkey, I guess you'll have to stay a regular stuffed Annie. Blink. Bonkey's eyes opened. Zoey froze. Bonkey wiggled his ears. Zoey's mouth dropped open. Bonkey scratched his fuzzy bear face with his tiny monkey hand. Zoey gasped. Bonkey turned his head, blinked again, and smiled. Zoey screamed. Not a scared scream, an excited, holy macaroni, this actually worked scream. Bonkey jumped up. His tiny monkey arms stretched in the air. He wiggled his toes, then whoosh! Before Zoey could even say science, Bonkey launched himself into the air, right toward the ceiling fan. Uh-oh. Chapter 3, Bonkey Goes Bonkers. Whoosh! Bonkey flew through the air like a tiny fuzzy rocket and latched onto the ceiling fan. Bonkey! No! Oh! Zoey yelled, but Bonkey did not listen. The fan spun faster and faster. Bonkey held on tight, his little monkey legs flapping in the wind. Whip! Bonkey cheered. Zoey jumped onto her bed, reaching for him. Come down from there, buddy! That's not safe! Bonkey just giggled and let go. Bounce! He landed right on Zoey's bookshelf, knocking over all her science books. Papers went flying everywhere. Then, like a flash, he leaped onto Zoey's desk, stepped in her jar of glue, ran across her notebook, leaving sticky paw prints, and dove straight into her laundry basket. Zoey's eyes widened. Oh no. The basket tipped over, spilling socks, pajamas, and crash! A pile of underwear landed right on Bonkey's head. For a second, everything was quiet. Zoey covered her mouth, trying not to giggle. Pfft! Bonkey? Bonkey peeked out from under a pair of polka dot undies. His fuzzy bare face looked completely shocked. Then, heck! Bonkey screamed and ran in circles, trying to shake the underwear off his head. Zoey burst out laughing, but just as she reached out to help, bang! The door swung open. What is going on in? Zoey's mom and dad froze. They stared at the messy room. They stared at the flipped-over laundry basket. And then they stared at Bonkey, standing right in the middle of the room, with a pair of underwear still stuck to his head. For a long moment, no one said anything. Bonkey blinked. Zoey's dad blinked. Zoey's mom blinked. Then Bonkey grinned. He waved. Hi, he said. Zoey's parents screamed. Chapter 4. Bonkey meets the parents. Zoey's mom grabbed onto the door frame. Zoey's dad held onto his coffee mug so tightly that his fingers turned white. Bonkey just stood there, grinning, still wearing underwear like a silly hat. Hi, he said again, waving his tiny monkey hands. Zoey's parents did not wave back. Her dad's mouth opened and closed like a goldfish. Her mom whispered through clenched teeth, Zoey, why is your stuffed animal talking? Zoey smiled nervously. Surprise? Bonkey clapped his hands. Yay! Surprise! Zoey's parents just stared. Then before they could say another word, zoom! Bonkey dashed between their legs and raced into the hallway. Oh no, Zoey muttered. Oh no, Dad muttered. Oh no, Mom muttered. Then all three of them took off running. Bonkey was fast. He zoomed through the kitchen, knocking over the fruit bowl. Apples rolled everywhere. He jumped onto the couch, did a backflip, and landed right in Dad's chair. He bounced onto the coffee table, grabbed the TV remote, and pressed every button at once. The TV started blasting cartoons in 4 different languages. Bonkey giggled. Dad groaned. Mom held her head in her hands. Zoey? She whispered. What have you done? Zoey winced. Science? Just then, Bonkey spotted something new. A mug of coffee sitting on the counter. Bonkey's bare nose twitched. No, Dad said. Bonkey grabbed the mug. Bonkey, don't! Bonkey took a big sip. His little eyes went wide. His tiny monkey tail stuck straight up. Then, yip! Bonkey took off like a rocket. He ran up the stairs, down the stairs, back up the stairs, and then spun in circles so fast that he turned into a blurry fuzzball. He's supercharged! Zoey cried. Dad sighed. I'll be in the garage. Mom shook her head. No, you're helping. Bonkey zoomed past, giggling. Zoey face-palmed. I should probably fix this. Then she grabbed a banana and ran after him. Chapter 5. Best Friends Forever. Zoey chased Bonkey all over the house, waving a banana in the air. Bonkey, stop running! I have a snack for you! Bonkey skidded to a stop. His little bare nose twitched. His tiny monkey tail wiggled. Banana? He asked. Yes! Zoey held it up, but only if you sit down and stop going bananas. Bonkey blinked. Then he slowly sat down on the floor. Zoey let out a huge sigh of relief and handed him the banana. Bonkey peeled it in 1 second flat and shoved the whole thing in his mouth. Zoey giggled. Okay, buddy, we need to have a talk. Bonkey tilted his head. No more wild running, no more flipping, and definitely no more coffee. Bonkey nodded slowly. Then he whispered, No coffee? No coffee. Bonkey pouted. Zoey's parents walked over, arms crossed. They looked at Bonkey. They looked at Zoey. Finally, Mom sighed. Okay, explain. Zoey took a deep breath. I made a machine to bring Bonkey to life, she said. It worked, but he's, a little crazy. Bonkey smiled proudly. Thank you. Dad rubbed his forehead. And now what? Zoey grinned. Now I teach him how to be a good Bonkey. Mom raised an eyebrow. And if he turns our house upside down again? Bonkey quickly shook his head. No upside down, only right side up. Dad sighed. Well, I guess we can't exactly put him back in the toy box. Zoey's eyes lit up. So, he can stay? Mom and Dad looked at each other. Then Mom smiled. "He can stay!" "Yes!" Zoey threw her arms around Bonkey. He hugged her back with his tiny monkey arms. Dad held up a finger. "But no more wild experiments without permission." "Promise!" Bonkey crossed his heart. "Promise!" Then, just as everything was calm again, Bonkey yawned. Bonkey stretched. Bonkey climbed into Zoey's lap and fell fast asleep. Zoey giggled. I guess all that running made him tired. Mom and Dad smiled, and as Zoey hugged her new best friend, she whispered, "I wonder what we should invent next." Bonkey's eyes popped open. "No more brothers!" he cried. Zoey laughed and laughed.